What's up guys, here we are this morning. We've got our 5 litre Miami. What we're going to talk about today is sumps. So at the moment we have a quick geyser under here. Maybe that little sucker. You can see that the sump bowl is towards the rear of the engine. That actually doesn't fit in our combination. What we're trying to do, this is to suit the FG Falcon. We need this bowl towards the front so it clears our K-frame. So what we're going to do today, we're going to rip the sump off. We're going to have a crack at building our own. Now there is a bit of a story why I am building my own. Because we're in Australia, these engines are particularly common. You can actually buy an off-the-shelf front sump, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this because we don't have them in Australia, but some of your F-150s and that are front sumped. But yeah, we can't get them in Australia. I can go aftermarket. After about 3 months of trying with different auto suppliers, no one was real keen to help me. One place I placed an order, it's been 3 months, nothing's turned up. So here we are today. Let's have a crack at building one. Also on that note, I want to reiterate, I'm just another bare bum in the shower. I'm not a mechanic, I'm a truck driver, crane driver, but I do like to have a go at things. So it mightn't be perfect, but I just want to show you guys that, you know, what you can do if you're willing to have a crack at home. And that's, I suppose, the whole premise of this show, this web series that we're doing is, we're not a shop, we're not anything special, we're not claiming to be anything better than anyone else. We're just another bare bum in the shower blokes that are going to have a go at building a cool car. So let's get into it. The old step one is going to be drain the old oil. Make a mess everywhere. While we're at it, I suppose. That's what we're pretty good at doing. Got to have a guesstimate at our old little tub here. How far are we going to go from there? Let's see if I get it right. I think. Alright. Moment of action. Oh, I only spilled a little bit. How good's life right now? Normally I'd stuff that up a lot more. So we're just going to let that drain out. We'll come back to this in a couple of minutes when it's got no oil in it. Just a quick explanation of why we're actually changing this sump around, because it mightn't seem real clear in the video, but I thought I'd show you. So here we have the sump off of our engine, and this is the K-frame setup we have. Excuse the jack and everything, and it's all sitting a bit wonky. This is our engine bay that we're working with now. The motor actually fits in between the shock rails, but this is how the sump currently sits. No bueno, will not fit at all. We come in here, the pan on the sump, it's not going to work. Excuse the traffic noise. So what we need to do, essentially, is flip it around. Fits much better, still hits on these wings. We can modify that to suit, that's not a biggie. Now you might be saying, why don't you just turn the sump around, Nige, and adapt your oil pickup? Well, I'll show you why. If we have a look at the shape, these bolts compared to these, can't actually just turn the sump around. So what we're going to do is we're going to mimic this top plate, and then we're going to make our own pan to suit in between this K-frame so that our engine can sit nice and neatly into position. So let's have a go. So we kind of got two ways of doing this sump. We could start from scratch, or we could cut this one up and adapt it to suit our needs. Kind of thinking, since I've got no real use for it, I might just have a crack at cutting this one up. We'll draw a line at this top edge of the corner here. We'll follow that right the way through. That'll give us a nice base that's all factory, although it's flat and very simple. Nice factory base that we can use to seal properly on the bottom of the block. So we might have a crack at that. Let's mark it out and have a look. So we've got our lovely little line marked out all along here now, right the way along. So now's a matter of just getting a grinder. We're going to put our glasses on, earplugs in, and rip into it. Let's have a go. So guys, here we are. This is our sump, and we've just cut the top off, as you can see. And I was having a bit of a look at it, and I thought to myself, what's actually stopping us simply spinning that around, dropping it back on? Now it doesn't line up 100% perfect yet, as you can see, but it looks pretty close. By the time we smooth all that out, put in some filler rod, weld it up, we essentially have the sump we had before, but with the pan exactly where we need it. So I'm going to go to that, and we're going to fire up the TIG, have a little weld. I'm not real good with TIG welding, and we'll see how it turns out. I'll see you up when it's welded. Getting a bit closer on this sump. Just thought I'd show you a better part of the welding. Yeah, not so great, but it is coming along all right. I'm not a boilermaker by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, it's going to look okay, I reckon. You're not going to see it in the engine bay. So I've fully welded the outside. I'm just going along now, welding the inside out, so that we've got a good finish. And yeah, we'll give her a clean up then and look into making our dipstick tube fit. Righto guys, it's all welded out. Once again, not the best job, but it's my job. I'm happy with it. That's not going to leak. I've had a quick look. I've put a ruler over these surfaces. They're not too bad. I was really worried about warpage. It's not too bad at all. I don't think we're going to have any leaks. If it does start to leak, the next time we pull the engine out, I'll just send it down to our local machine shop, get that surface ground so it's nice and flat, and we can go from there. But while we're waiting for that to cool, we'll shimmy over to the engine and we'll have a look at our oil pickup. So our oil pickup was up here. We have to relocate it to the pan to suit the pan down into here. Otherwise we're not going to pick up much oil up here when all our oil's sitting down in here. So let's go and have a look at that. While that cools, then we can come up with a game plan and find some solutions to make this happen. So here we go guys. Here's our oil pickup. If we have a look here, this is the front of the motor. Comes all the way back down here to the back of the motor. What we're going to have to do is remove this tube, measure up where our front pan now sits, and drop it straight down. We're going to retain this height because that's where the pan will sit. It's identical to what it was before in height. So essentially all we've got to do is make a new tube that comes down, drops into the middle there. So let's rip this off and go from there. Here's a quick look from underneath the engine. Just got to remove this rear bolt, and then there's two little guys up here that we've got to take off. Can't even get it in the hole. That's what the wife said. Well, I'm going to use two hands to get onto this because I'm very uncoordinated, and we'll take this tube off and we'll be laughing. So here's our sump. It's cooled down. We've got our oil pickup here. So what we have to do is modify it, as now we've turned the sump around. That pickup is going to sit up there and it's going to foul on everything. We need it to sit down in here beautifully. So what we're going to do is pretty simple. If I sit that there, we're just going to shorten this here. We're going to leave that as it is and then re-weld. We're going to use that join. We might have to actually cut and shut it twice to get it to sit in there properly. So we'll get into it. Well, good buddies, you might be asking, what am I doing down here on me back under the engine? Oh, I'm having to lay down. No, what I'm doing is I'm going to try an old trick I learnt back in there. I've got a bit of blue tack here. I'm just going to put that up onto the oil pickup. What we're going to do is check for clearance at the bottom of our sump. So I'm thinking anywhere between 10 and 20 mil, I'm going to be laughing. So we've got our sump. What we're going to do is push it up into place, nice and solid like that. Drop it back down. And that there has given us our distance from there to there of how much room we've got at the bottom of our pickup. I'll just measure that. 15 mil. I'm happy with that. Here's our dipstick. Our oil's going to sit way up here, so we've got plenty of depth in there. I'm now going to disconnect this, weld it up, clean it up, and we'll be laughing. Let's do it. Now we've got our pickup tube for our oil pump pretty well in order. I've welded out a couple of joins here to get the curves right. I've only done them with the MIG, and I'm going to clean them up. Like, I'm not going to leave them like that. The main reason for that is I want to have a look if there's any cracks or little pinholes in the weld. If there is, there's a potential for it to suck air into the engine. The other thing I'm going to do is borrow my mate's camera, little inspection camera. I'm going to go down inside the tube, have a look, make sure there's no dags or anything funny on the inside after I've welded it. Only because I'm not a boilermaker. You know, if I was a boilermaker, I would have TIG welded. It would have been beautiful, the most amazing thing on earth. Well, I'm not that guy. I'm just another bare bum in the shower, and you know, doing what I can, but I'm still going to be happy with it when it's done. So I'll rip into that, give it a nice grind up, and we will have a tube done. What do you reckon, guys? Done. Let's go and whack her in the engine. Yoo-hoo! I reckon that looks pretty good from under here. You might be wondering what we're going to do with this guy. This is where the tube extended out to the rear sump pickup and bolted onto there. We're just going to leave that. We're going to take the bolt out so it doesn't rattle loose in the sump. We're not going to put another one onto here. That is as solid as you can get. It looks great. I'm happy with it. Let's bolt the sump on. Another thing I've just noticed with the dipstick is, where do I relocate it to? Now, I'm presuming this might be the spot on different engines with the front sump. Not quite sure. I am going to have a Google, but failing that, this dipstick will still read accurately to the correct engine height. It's just that our sump will hit on it here. So to stop the sump from turning it up and giving us a false reading, I'm actually just going to trim the end of the dipstick off, and it actually still will function as per normal. So that's not a drama. Everything's the same volume as before. Our dipstick will still read
a little bit past empty. I don't want it to ever get that low, so yeah, it all still reads in the good area. We just have to trim the bottom of the stick off and we'll retain the factory dipstick position. Cool stuff. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today looks like a success. Theodore's given us the approval. It bolted on super easy. Everything just goes on like factory. It's just facing the right way now, so it'll actually fit in our engine bay. Bloody ripper. Alright guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do some more cool stuff. Cheers.